I know I wronged you. Please find it in your hearts to forgive me. I can't live like this.
Please, please don't send me away. The old man's voice shook as he knelt on the cold tiled floor. Tears ran down his face, soaking his worn shirt. His hands trembled as he stretched them forward, begging. I am sick. I am hungry. I have nowhere else to go. Standing before him were two women, well dressed, calm, their faces hard like stone. You said we were not your children, the taller one said quietly. You said we were useless mouths to feed. The old man looked up at them. Mercy, Ruth, forgive me. But what happened next, nobody expected. My people, today's story will touch your heart and squeeze it. It will teach you about wickedness, about family, and about how life has memory. Sit down, breathe small. After their parents died, life ended for Mercy and Ruth. Their father, a quiet man who worked the cocoa farms with honesty, died first. The village said it was a broken heart, but the doctors called it a stroke. Their mother, a woman whose laughter could wake a sleeping infant, followed 2 years later. Grief is a heavy load. She simply lay down one afternoon and refused to wake up. Just like that, 2 young girls were left alone in the world. Mercy was barely 14 and Ruth was only 10. Their uncle, Uncle Jonah, was their father's elder brother. He lived in the same village but in a house with zinc roofing and a cemented porch. He came for them with a big smile that reached his eyes but skipped his heart. My brother's children will not suffer, he said loudly at the funeral, making sure the village elders heard him. My house is their house. My food is their food. People praised him. Ah, God will bless you, Jonah. You have a good heart. You are a true brother. Ah, if only they knew that a smile can be a mask for a trap. The first few months were sweet, like the first lick of a mango. Mercy and Ruth slept on mats in Uncle Jonah's house, but they were inside, safe from the rain. They ate the same jollof rice as Jonah's 4 children. They even went back to the village school, carrying their old bags with hope. But after 3 months, the sweetness turned to bile. Uncle Jonah's wife, Auntie Philomena, began to poison his ears. Every night, through the thin walls of the house, Mercy would hear her whispering like a snake in the grass. These girls are not your children, Jonah. Why are you killing yourself? They eat too much. See how Mercy is growing. Soon she will need a husband and you will have to pay for the wedding. My own children are suffering while you feed outsiders. Slowly, Uncle Jonah's heart hardened. It didn't happen overnight. It was like a stone in a river. The water of his wife's words slowly wore away his humanity. One evening, after a long day of rain, Jonah called Mercy and Ruth outside. He didn't look them in the eye. He looked at the mud on his boots. You too, he said, his voice cold. From today, you will work for your food. Life is not a free ride. That was how slavery started in the house of their own blood. The routine was a nightmare. While Jonah's children, Oke, Chidi, Amaka, and Gift slept under warm blankets, Mercy and Ruth were up at 4:30 a.m. They would trek to the stream, the morning dew biting their bare feet to fetch water. They would return to sweep the compound, scrub the heavy iron pots, and start the fire for the morning pap. By the time Jonah's children woke up, the house was clean and breakfast was ready. But Mercy and Ruth were not allowed to sit at the table. They ate the burnt crusts of the pot in the backyard, standing up. If Mercy or Ruth made a small mistake, if the water was too cold or the soup had too little salt, the punishment was swift. Slap, insult, no food. You useless girls, Philomena would scream. You think you are queens? You will end like your dead parents, begging for breath. School became a distant memory. When the new term started, Uncle Jonah called them into the parlor. He sat there with his children, who were all wearing brand new uniforms. I have spent all my money on the farm, Jonah lied. I can only pay for my biological children. School is not for poor orphans. Mercy, you will start hawking garden eggs. Ruth, you will help the neighbors with their laundry. Go and learn work. The wickedness reached its peak on a Tuesday. Mercy fell sick. A heavy, bone-shaking fever took hold of her. She lay on the damp mat in the kitchen, her skin burning like a furnace. She couldn't even lift her head to fetch the morning water. Ruth, only 12 then, ran to Uncle Jonah. She knelt and held his feet. Uncle, please, Mercy is dying. Her body is like fire. Please take her to the hospital. Uncle Jonah didn't even put down his newspaper. He laughed, a dry, hollow sound. Hospital for what? Fever is for the rich. Give her water. If she dies, she dies. Let her go and meet her mother. One less mouth to feed. That night, Ruth sat by her sister's side, using a rag dipped in cold water to wipe her forehead. She prayed to a God she wasn't sure was listening. Mercy survived, but she emerged from that sickness thin as a reed and twice as tough. 3 days later, Uncle Jonah called them. He looked bored. I am tired of looking at your faces, he said. My wife says you bring bad luck to this house. Pack the little you have. Go and look for where you belong. But uncle, where will we go? Ruth whispered. That is between you and the wind, he replied. Just like that, they were thrown out. No money, no extra clothes, no food. 2 small girls walking the dusty village road, their few belongings tied in a single tattered wrapper. The villagers watched from their porches. Some whispered a yeah, but nobody opened their door. People are often afraid to help those whom the powerful have rejected. They slept under a large mango tree at the edge of the village that night. The ground was hard and the mosquitoes were many. Mercy held Ruth tight. In the morning, an old woman named Mama Adesua saw them while she was going to her small farm. She was a widow, known for having nothing but a big hat. Whose children are these? She asked, her voice like cracked parchment. Ruth, her voice trembling, told her everything. The death of their parents, the slavery under Uncle Jonah, and the cold rejection. Mama Adesua sighed, a sound that carried the weight of 1,000 sorrows. My daughters, come. I have no meat in my soup, and my roof leaks when the rain is angry, but you will not sleep under a tree. She lived in a small mud house, 1 room, a kitchen made of palm fronds, but she shared her last piece of yam with them. Life has not finished, she told them that night. God still sees. The road may be long, but it doesn't end in the dark. To survive, the girls became laborers of the earth. Mercy started hawking groundnuts. She would carry a heavy tray on her head from sunrise until the stars came out, shouting until her throat was raw. Buy your boiled groundnuts, fresh groundnuts. Ruth, though younger, washed clothes for the wealthy families in the next village. Her small hands became calloused and wrinkled from the soap and the scrubbing. They ate once a day. Sometimes they shared a single bowl of gari and salt. But they held each other. They were a team of 2 against the world. Don't cry, Ruthie, Mercy whispered. The sun will rise, and when it does, we will start walking. Ruth cried that day until her eyes were red. She loved books. She loved the way the teachers spoke about the city. But Jonah just laughed. Books don't fill bellies, little girl. Move. Years passed. Ruth was naturally brilliant. Even without school, she would pick up old newspapers and read them perfectly. She would solve math problems in the sand using a stick. Mercy noticed it. One evening, as they sat by Mama Desua's small fire, Mercy made a decision that would change their destiny. Ruth, Mercy said, her voice firm, you are going back to school. I have talked to the headmaster in the next village. I will pay. Ruth shook her head, tears springing to her eyes. No, sister, we suffer together. How can I sit in a classroom while you are under the sun hawking? Mercy grabbed Ruth's hands. Listen to me. Education is our only escape. If we both hawk, we will both die hawking. But if you study, you can pull us out. I will work like a donkey so you can soar like an eagle. Mercy became a machine. Morning, hawking groundnuts. Afternoon, manual labor on the cassava farms. Night, washing plates at a roadside buka food joint until midnight. Her skin darkened until it was the color of deep ebony. Her feet swelled, her back ached. But every term, Ruth's school fees were paid. Every year, Ruth took the first position in her class. I will never forget you, Mercy, Ruth promised. Every night, I swear on our mother's grave, I will make you proud. The day Ruth got admission to the university in the city was a day of both joy and terror. The city was a big place, a place for the children of the rich. Mercy sold everything she had left. She sold her only good wrapper, the one Mama Deswa had given her. She sold her small earrings. She took every kobo she had saved and put it in Ruth's hand. Go, Mercy said. Don't look back at this village. Study until the books beg for mercy. Ruth went. Life in the city was a struggle. She stayed in a crowded hostel, eating only crackers some days, but she was focused. While other girls were chasing boys in big cars, Ruth was in the library. She was the first to arrive and the last to leave. Mercy continued to send money. Sometimes it was only 2,000 naira, but to Ruth it was 2 million. It was the scent of her sister's sweat. 4 years later, the news reached the village. Ruth had graduated with a first class in law. She didn't stop there. She got a job at a top firm. Then she moved to a bigger one. She started a business on the side. She was smart, she was driven, and she had the memory of that mango tree to push her. Slowly, the tide turned. Ruth rented a flat and brought Mercy to the city. The first time Mercy entered the house with running water and an indoor toilet, she wept. She looked at her hands, rough, scarred, and aged beyond her years. And then she looked at Ruth, who looked like a queen. We made it, sister, Ruth whispered, hugging her. Years passed. They built businesses. They bought houses. They became names that people whispered with respect. They never spoke about Uncle Jonah. In their minds, he was a ghost from a past life. But life has a way of turning the wheel. Back in the village, Uncle Jonah's perfect life had crumbled. He had a stroke, the same thing that killed his brother. His wife, Philomena, the woman who poisoned his heart, saw that he was no longer useful. She took the remaining money and ran away with a younger man. His own children, whom he had pampered and spoiled, had no character. Oke became a drunkard. Chidi went to jail for theft. The girls ran away to the city and never called. Jonah was left alone in his big house. The roof started leaking. He sold his furniture to buy medicine. He sold his bed. Eventually, he was begging for food from the very neighbors who used to envy him. Someone told him, Jonah, why are you suffering? Your brother's daughters, Mercy and Ruth, they are big women in the city. They have cars that are longer than your house. Hope, a wicked, selfish hope entered his heart. He sold his last goat to pay for a bus ticket. He found their house, a mansion with a high gate and security guards. He spent 2 days waiting at the gate until finally Mercy's car drove in. That brings us back to where we started, the cold tiled floor, the begging. I was wicked, Jonah sobbed, his head touching the ground. I listened to my wife. I was a fool. Please, my daughters, you are my father's blood. Don't let me die in the street. Mercy looked at him. She didn't feel anger. She felt nothing. She remembered the slap when she was 14. She remembered the hunger that felt like a hole in her stomach. She remembered the fever and his laugh. Ruth stood beside her. She remembered being told she was useless. She remembered the dusty road and the mango tree. The room was silent for a long time. The only sound was the old man's ragged breathing. Finally, Mercy spoke. Her voice was soft, like a judge delivering a final verdict. Uncle, Mercy said, you taught us something very important. Uncle looked up, hope shining in his watery eyes. What, my daughter? You taught us that suffering teaches strength, And you taught us that family isn't about blood, it's about who stays when the lights go out. Ruth added, her voice like steel, and you taught us that wickedness has consequences. You threw us out when we were weak, you expected us to disappear, but life has memory. They did not kick him out. They were not like him. They paid his hospital bills. They found a small, clean room for him in a different part of the city. They ensured he had food 3 times a day. They provided a nurse to look after his stroke-weakened body. But they did not bring him into their home. They did not call him father. They did not sit with him to share stories. They did not allow him into their hearts. He was a charity case, not a relative. He lived for 2 more years. He had everything he needed for his body, but his soul was starving. Every time a nurse brought him food, paid for by the girls, it felt like coals of fire on his head. He died in that small room, alone with his regret. My people, hear this lesson and keep it in your pocket. Family can be your greatest blessing or your most bitter enemy. Success does not erase the scars of the past. It only gives you the power to decide how to handle the person who gave them to you. Be careful how you treat people when they are down. The child you ignore today might be the one holding the keys to your survival tomorrow. The useless mouth you refuse to feed might be the only one who can speak for you in the end. Because life is a long road, and that road, it always turns.